Hello, so previously we have created an application where users can authenticate via device, and now I'm a logged in user and I can create posts and I can see different posts. So let me create another post, third post by me. I will create the post and here it is. And in this application I can also generate API tokens and view API docs. So here I click view API docs and you see I have different things that I can do with the posts via API. And let me try making a request. So I will click try it out to get a list of all of my posts. I will click execute and I get back credentials because it didn't work because I need to authenticate. So to authenticate, I will need to add a bearer token, and here a user can generate multiple bearer tokens. So let me generate a bearer token. Here it is. Let me now add the token. I'm authorized. Let me execute the request once again. And here I get 3 posts. Only the posts by this current user. Let me now go to this API and try getting just one of the existing posts. So I know that I've got a post with the ID 5. I will try getting it, and here it is. Now I know that the post with ID 4 does not belong to me. I'll try getting it. Okay, yeah, it does belong to me. Let's try getting the post I know with ID 1. Okay, it is not found because it does not belong to me. Let me try getting a post with a big ID. It is also not found because this post also does not exist. Let me try creating a post. So let me click try it out. I will say that the title is string via API, execute. And yeah, the post seems to have been created. I can go to the list of posts and see if I can get it. And in the list of posts, I also get the post via API. And in a similar fashion, I can make delete requests and patch requests. For example, let me try to get the post with ID 6 and change the title to edited. Execute. And here we have the successful payload. If I look into the console, you see that actually there was an update request that has been processed. And let me now try destroying this post. So I'll get a post with ID 6, execute, and go into the console. You see the post has been destroyed. Okay, so this is what we've got at the moment. And what if we want to, let's say, track which users are using our API, which are not, which API requests are popular and which are not, and also, most importantly, to track whether users are not trying to DDoS us by overloading our system with sending too many requests. So we are going to track which API requests each user does, and we are going to, let's say that a user cannot make more than 10,000 API requests in a 30 days period. Otherwise, he will be blocked from making additional API requests. This kind of behavior is popular with Twitter or with Shopify API, for example. Let's have a look. Twitter API rate limits. So yeah, here you see they have 30-day limits of how many requests of a specific type can be performed. And we're going to add this kind of rate limiting to our application. So to do this, we are going to start by tracking our requests, because we need to first track them, how many requests are done before being able to limit the quantity. So I'm going to generate a model. We'll name it Rails generate model API request, and the model will have a user references, because well, the APIs are done by authenticated users. It will also have a path and the method. So method is going to be either post or patch or get or delete, and path is going to be the path, like the route to which the API request is being done. So let's generate this model. Let's have a look at the migration. Create API requests. Let's say path cannot be null, null, false. Same for method. Now we will say that the user has many API requests. Okay, and now we need to track these API requests whenever an API request is performed. So we are going to create a new API request record. And we're going to go to our API base controller. the authenticated controller, and after authentication, we are going to say that we're going to log an API request. So I will say before action, after the authenticate, log API request. Okay, let's add this log API request method. I will say def log API request will be current user.api requests.create, and the path will be the request.path, and the method will be request.method. Let's see if this will work. So let me try making an API request. I will do it in the console now. So here I have a server running, and here I will have the console. I will make a curl request. So I will take an API token. I will go to my prompts where I already have some curl requests ready, and I will try making a request. So go in here, I make the request. Okay, I get some kind of error. Let's see. Yeah, I need to do the migration. Sure, Rails DB migrate. Okay, let's try doing the request now. Okay, so it looks like an API request has been created. Let's have a look at it in the console. API request.count, API request.all. You see here is the full path of the request. The method was get. The user ID has been logged. So logging the API requests kind of works. Let's just try logging a different kind of request. Let's make a post request where we'll have a new record that has been created. So let's see. I will make a post request. Okay, let's have a look at all our API requests now. And you see the method is different and the path is also different. So the requests are being tracked. And now we can say that we want to limit our API requests per user. So how can we do it? Well, let's first establish some kind of limit. For this example, let's say that, for example, the limit will be 5 API requests. So max API requests within 30 days will be 5. And then let's see how many API requests the user has done within the last 30 days. So def API requests within last 30 days, and it will be API requests.var that have been created sooner than 30 days ago. So where created at is more than 30.days.ago. .count. Let's see if this works. I will go to the Rails console. I will say user.last. API requests within last 30 days. 2 requests. Let's say user.first. API requests 0, because we've been doing both requests from the user with the same token. Okay, so this works. And let's see if the API limit has been exceeded. So def API request limit exceeded will be if this quantity is more than 5, more or equals 5. So okay, let's check if the API limit has been exceeded for a given user. Let's reload and let's say user first.API limit exceeded, false. User.last, whether it has been exceeded, also false. Let's change the limit to 1, for example. We know that one of the users has 2 requests. Let's reload now. I will now check if it has been exceeded for the user that has 2 requests. And you see, for this user that has 2 requests, it has been exceeded. Okay, so this seems to be working on the user model. But how can we disable API requests if the amount has been exceeded in the controller level? So we're going to check the API limit before actually logging a new API request and before making the request. So I will say before action, check API limit. Let's create this before action, and I will say, so if there is a current user, if the current user's API limit has been exceeded. So if the API limit has been exceeded, we're going to render a JSON error. So let's just copy this, and the message will be, for example, API limit exceeded, and the status is going to be too many requests. Let's see if this works now. So I'm going to go to make a CURL request to, for example, get a page, and you see I got this message, API limit exceeded. Let me now change the API limit. Let's make it 5. I'm going to make a request, successful, 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 unsuccessful, because now the user has 5 requests that he has done in total. And again, it's going to count the requests within the last 30 days. For example, as Twitter does, last kind of 30 days limit. Okay, looks good. And if you go to Shopify, for example, so Shopify API rate limits. Then Shopify also tells you how many requests have you done in the last period that you can do. So you see, you can get a header of like you have done 32 requests out of 40 that you may do. So we are going to also add this kind of header so that the users can easily know on each request how many requests they have done and how many requests they have left. So let's try adding a header like the Shopify one to our application. So how can we do it? You see, we do all these regular curl requests, and let's try adding the headers. Let's also try to see the headers of the curl requests responses. So to do this, I'm just going to go to our curl request example, and I will add the V. So we're going to get the request details. Let me try adding this. And here are the request details. Now let's increase the limit. Let's make it 50, for example. And let's add an additional header from our application as the one from Shopify, where we say how many API requests the user has left. So to do this, I'm going to go back to authenticated controller, and after login a new API request, I will say response.headers. We are going to name it, for example, how does it work on Shopify. So they have such a name. We'll just say Super Rails or the name of your application. And here it will be, for example, current user dot API requests remaining. It is going to be a counter, and it will be slash out of how many are available. So slash user max API requests per 30 days. And let's add this API requests remaining to our user model. So def API requests remaining, and it's gonna be, I guess, a basic calculation of API requests, so max API requests minus API requests within the last 30 days. And let's see if this works. So I'll try making another request. And here I have X Super Rails shop API call limit 43 out of 50. Okay, let's make it vice versa. Okay, now it is 42 out of 50. Yeah, I think this was quite okay. So yeah, there are 41 requests out of 50 remaining. For example, yeah, it could be like this. So yeah, on each request we can see how many API requests are remaining for our user, and we can see statistics of the usage of our API requests. So let's say API request.all. We can see which endpoints are the most popular, which methods the users use, which users do use, and which users don't use our API. So this way we have added the basic rate limiting to our API, and we have added the API tracking. And we can also track our API key usage. For example, if we got like a few API keys, and we can see whether a key has been used or whether a key has not been used. Let me generate a new API key. I'll just refresh and not use the new API key. And let's add a last used at attribute to our API keys. So let's say Rails generate migration, add the last used USED at to API keys, last used at date time. Okay, let's have a look at the migration. So we are adding last used at to our API keys, and I will say Rails tp migrate. Okay, to API tokens. Let me just rename it, tokens, and tokens here. Let's do the migration. Okay, and let's update this attribute whenever an API key is used. So here in the header we've got the current API token. Let's say add current API token dot update last used at time dot zone dot now. Let's see if it works. I will make another API request, and let's have a look at all our API tokens. API token dot all, and you see only on the token that we have just used, we have this last used at. So we know that the other tokens have not been used potentially at all, and we know which API tokens are being used. So this way we can have a few tokens and know whether these tokens are actually in use. Yeah, and I guess this is about it for this episode. So see you in the next one.